Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, soon to be joined here by my usual co-host, Rob. He got stuck in some Philadelphia traffic here, as if we needed another reason to hate Philadelphia here, keeping us from getting our nightly dose of Rob here. So before we get started here, I'm going to thank everybody for joining us here. Hope you enjoy the program. We're going to be going over the preview here with the Jets and Giants this upcoming Sunday here. Always a special occasion to be able to play the Jets and remind Jet fans how crappy their team is, as if we don't do that on a regular basis overall. Yeah, it's been a long time since Jet fans have seen some winnings and something positive there. Obviously, it's been a little while now for the Giants as well. We still got those 4 rings, and that matters in the grand scheme of things. So, all right, let's get started off, as we always do with our preview episodes here, talking about the injury report. Oh, yes, the injuries. And there's still a lot of injuries, guys. I know we all want the Giants to magically get healthy, but sometimes it just takes a while, guys. Let's start off with the list here. So first off, Gary Brightwell did not practice the first 2 games. We already talked about how we picked up the Deshaun Corbin over the week there. So, yeah, Deshaun Corbin's not coming back unless they don't think that he's going to be playing there. So Gary Brightwell probably going to be out again. Leonard Williams did not practice on Wednesday. That was a rest, so nothing to worry about there. He's a full participant today, so no worries there. Saquon Barkley limited in practice the first 2 days here, Wednesday and Thursday, because of that elbow injury that he suffered in the Commanders game. You saw where he had that big brace on, taped all up and everything, and had the fumble possibly because of that injury as well. At least it was speculated to during the game. Fully expect him to go. Graham Gano, limited participant on Wednesday, full participant today with the left knee injury. Adoree Jackson, limited both days. Now, he's a 50-50 in my eyes, 50-50 whether or not he plays. So we'll keep an eye on that one there. The next 50-50, another one, big one. Daniel Jones, our starting quarterback, been out the last 2 weeks in the neck injury, limited in practice both days. And I really think it's a good chance that we end up seeing, again, Tyrod Taylor in his place there. Would not shock me at all to see a third week of that, but time will tell there. Evan Neal, the right tackle, was out last week. Limited participant there the last 2 practices here Wednesday and Thursday with his ankle injury. To be honest, I kind of thought he was a addition by subtraction. Offensive line looked better, which is weird. I know I've mentioned before, and I still stand by Tyrod Taylor being there as a quarterback as part of it in my eyes, because he's able to help and get some of the cues out to the offensive lineman a little better than Daniel Jones because he's more of a veteran player. But in the end, you got to question, is the team better off without the burger flipper, Evan Neal? It's a possibility. The one I'm more concerned with there is John Michael Schmitz. We need him in this weekend. So he's limited participant both practices Wednesday and Thursday with a shoulder injury. Kayvon Thibodeau popping up here with a knee injury, limited participant there the last 2 practices Wednesday, Thursday. And then Andrew Thomas, hamstring injury, the one he's been battling since week 1. Limited participant the last 2 practices Wednesday and Thursday. Now, those 3, I'm really hoping to see all 3 of them. JMS, Kayvon Thibodeau, Andrew Thomas. The reports were that they were expecting this to be the coming back party here for Andrew Thomas. That'd be huge if he comes back. This is a guy we need. We need this guy in the field so bad it's not even funny. It's one position, one guy we have in this roster that you can put out there at that position and go, you know what? We're good. He's got this. He's got this. There's not many players on this team that you can sit there and say that with. He's probably the only one of the offensive line that you can say that with. Darren Waller, Hamstring, again, this is a lingering thing he's going to have pretty much all year long. Limited participant Wednesday and Thursday. No issues there. I fully expect him to be playing. Dexter Lawrence was given a rest day today, so he pops up on the list, but it was listed just as that. It's a rest day. No worries. Full participant there. Otherwise, he'll be there. On to the Jets. Much smaller list there. Most of the guys they even have on this list, honestly, are guys that you fully expect to play, and they're full participants in the practice here. So Randall Cobb, wide receiver, shoulder injury there, did not practice Wednesday, limited participant there today. So you do expect to see him, but we'll see what kind of action he sees overall. So we'll see. Joe Tipman has a quadriceps injury. He's the one center that was drafted above JMS. They've been playing him at guard. I think that he will not be playing again with the quadriceps. Did not practice here the first two this week, Wednesday, Thursday. Couple guys that are limited participants, but really, honestly, they're going to be a lot healthier than us, except for obviously the guys that are on the IR and flat out. Keep in mind, obviously, Aaron Rodgers is still out on the IR. Dwayne Brown, the 57-year-old tackle of theirs, is out. Elijah Vera Tucker's out. So they got some injuries in the offensive side of the ball, too. Not just at the quarterback, but some key offensive line positions there, too. So let's see. Mekhi Becton with the knee injuries, limited participant Wednesday, full on Thursday. Michael Carter to the second corner, hamstring injury, limited participant Wednesday, Thursday. Irvin Charles, wide receiver, shoulder injury, limited participant both days. Then you got Michael Clemens, defensive tackle with the ankle injury. Brandon Eccles with the corner with the hamstring. Sauce Gardner, the stud corner I still wish we had. Concussion. Jermaine Johnson, the second linebacker with a foot injury. And DJ Reed, the corner with a concussion. Those guys listed, those five guys there, all full participants there Wednesday and Thursday in practice. So fully expect those guys to be playing. I do think that, they just got to put them on there because of the fact that they might be limiting them a little bit there at that point. That's all. So, all right, on to the actual game itself here. So actually, let's go to a couple of comments first, actually. Dennis says this is going to be the greatest 3-2 victory in NFL history. LOL, talking like he did yesterday. Come on, Dennis. It's going to be at least 10 points between the two teams. At least 10 points. Can't be that bad. Deb said, I read somewhere that Thomas will not play this week. Hope that was wrong. I haven't heard anything finalized on that yet. I'm still hoping it's the comeback party for him, but hamstring issues. Hamstring issues are like that. When they go, they linger for a while. We talked about it all off season before that ever happened here. When it came to Darren Waller. Darren Waller had hamstring issues the last couple of years. That's what's kept him out. I think that in the end, we'll have to see what happens. They're still limited in practice, a lot of these guys, and you never know with those guys. The only one that I think, and this is just something that I think, is I think that Daniel Jones won't play this week. I've heard no one say specifics on that. It's just if I had to place my money on it, he's not playing because give him another week. You want to give him a week solid before you really put him back there. It's a neck injury. He's had neck injuries before. It's too scary. As much as we don't want to talk about the NFL, has a say in some of this stuff too. And I guarantee they're called the Maras at some point and said, hey, this guy's not ready fully. Don't put him in there. We don't want this on TV because a big neck injury is the last thing the NFL ever wants to see on there. All right. So let's get into the actual game itself here. Let's start talking about the when we're on offense here, because let's be honest, offense has been a struggle. Jets have a really good defense. So let's go over how we can possibly go ahead and defeat this defense. All righty. So it sounds simple. It really does. But the biggest thing is they got to score points, the Giants. They have to go ahead and score points. We've struggled, obviously, on offense mightily. And like I said a minute ago, you look at it on paper, the Jets have a really good defense. They got a lot of stars like Sauce Gardner on there. But for some reason, there's still a glimmer of hope if you look at the numbers there. The Jets overall are a bend but don't break if you look at the numbers here kind of defense. They're ranked 24th, actually, in yards given up per game. 351.8. But they're 13th at 19.8 points given up per game. So remember a couple years ago we had Patrick Graham, and it was that kind of bend but don't break kind of defense there. That's what we got going on there. So, we're going to expect to get some points, expect to get some drives that are going. But the big thing is, I don't want just some points. We got to complete these drives. We got to get touchdowns. We got to get at least field goals. And, most games you would say can't get field goals, need touchdowns. We're playing the Jets, guys. You can actually get a whole bunch of field goals and still win. Their offense is that bad. But, one thing we really do have to take advantage with this defense is they're actually not the best on third down conversions, too. Another area the Giants have struggled some weeks. They're 30th in the league, allowing 46.51% third down conversions. That's pretty low. That's really pretty low. So I think the big key is complete the drives. Get those third downs. You can't let this bend but don't break. You got to break this defense 100% here. Now, when you look at the yardage issues, like I said, it's a ton of yards that this team is giving up the Jets defense. So I look to see where they are. The yards are actually against the run. That's where they're getting killed. So the yardage issue there, if you look, they give up 135.2 yards on the ground per game. That's 30th in the league, folks. And they give up 216.7 passing yards through the air each week. That's 15th. So yardage-wise, the run game is what's killing them. Absolutely killing them. So you got to expect to see Quincy Williams and C.J. Mosley both pretty much all over the place. They're both basically on pace for a pretty big season, about 145 tackles. They're both at about 60. Quincy Williams at 60 exactly. C.J. Mosley's at 59. So they're both on a pretty monster kind of pace there at that point. And that's the kind of players you see on this defense. Keep in mind, it's a defensive-minded coach, it's a defensive-minded team. Those guys are going to be all over the place. Corner, obviously, is another strong suit for the Jets defense, especially with their super sophomore, Sauce Gardner, along with DJ Reed and Bryce Hall. They make a pretty good trio of corners. So this may be a game where the tight ends, especially, Darren Waller and the running back Saquon Barkley, need to really be a big part of this passing game. Because, let's be honest, our receivers are not better than their corners. If you want to do a one-on-one matchup with our corners and their receivers, their corners are going to win most times. So, just like I said, food for thought there. I think you'll see a little bit more screens, maybe some wheel routes with Barkley. That'd be nice to see. Some shots in the flat there, some hook routes with Waller. The kind of things that you have to do when you got to get creative at that point. The Jets also, one thing we don't have to worry about too much, we have to worry about it, but not too much, is the sacks. Because the Jets are not a very high sack defense. They're not a team like the Eagles and the Cowboys that we faced that, are known for pretty much breaking records there on sacks. They take down the quarterback in just 5.73% of passing plays. That's 22nd overall in the league. Quentin Jefferson, their superstar defensive tackle, leads them with 3 sacks. The linebacker trio of Bryce Huff, Quincy Williams, and Jermaine Johnson combined together for 6.5 sacks. And the rest of the team, just 3.5 sacks, guys. So you know where it's coming from. It's coming up the gut with Quentin Jefferson, which is why we need JMS back this week so bad. Because he's the best guy suited to handle him. Which sounds weird as a rookie, but he is the interior lineman that I trust the most in this team already. So we need him back, and we got to watch out for these blitzes coming from his linebackers, because that's where it's going to come from. It's not going to come from defensive ends. This is not a team that has that kind of defensive line that just tears through an offensive line. It's the linebackers, and it's Quincy Williams. That's where the pass rush comes from. So now what they do very well in defense, the Jets, is turnovers. Very, very well. They're averaging 2.2 turnovers per game, which is second in the league, folks. Second. It's pretty damn high. So they intercept the ball in 3.74% of passing plays. That's fifth in the league. So, again, brings back to what I said before. Our wide receivers are not better than their corners. Don't force the ball. Get the flat routes, get the short routes, dink and dunk your way through. Get that run game involved. Get that run game heavily involved. This would be a game that if we win, Saquon Barkley is probably the reason we do. We get to actually see the wheels from Tyrod Taylor probably too as well. There's probably be a couple of times where he really runs for it. He's got some speed. He's getting a little up there in age, but he's still got some speed there. Jordan Whitehead has 3 interceptions here. Keep in mind, that means he basically gets one every other game. That's pretty damn good. 5 other players have an interception. The Jets have also forced 5 fumbles so far this year and recovered every single one of them, including one for a touchdown by Bryce Hall. So that's where this team is really good. They're really good against the pass. They're really good at getting turnovers. So the nice thing is we're a team with a superstar running back. We're a team that hasn't necessarily given up a ton of turnovers in the last couple weeks. So I think that this is going to be, that's going to play to our strengths. Play the short yard passing game. Play the run game. Don't make stupid moves. Play sound, clean football. That's how you're going to win against the Jets. It's not going to be the deep catches. It's not going to be the 60-yard bombs. They'll go for it every so often. You got to keep the defense honest. But for the most part, that's not how you're going to win. So, all righty. Let's get on to when we're on defense here. I know the Jets defense, the Jets offense is not exactly the most scary offense in the world here. But yeah, we got to at least go over some what's going on there. All righty. So the Jets score 18.8 points per game, 22nd in the league, while they only create 277 yards of offense per game. That's 30th in the league. That's bad, folks. So as good as we talked about, their defense has some really good stats there in some of the categories. They're really bad in offense, guys. I mean, again, when you have Zach Wilson, your quarterback, you're probably not going to be the best offense in the league. Probably not going to be the best one. But yeah, that's really bad. And if you look, the fact they're 22nd in points, 30th in yards, what does that tell you? It tells you they're getting a lot of turnovers, getting short yardage positions at that point, and they're scoring because they're being put in good position. So this lends what I said before. Don't give them the chance to get the ball by turnover. Play smart football. Play sound football. Don't give them that opportunity. So the Jets throw the ball also at a very high rate, which is crazy to me when you got Zach Wilson. Absolutely insane. So they pass the ball at 60.06% of the plays. That's 8th in the league. Can you imagine having Zach Wilson going, what we should do? Let's throw the ball nonstop. This boggles me. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But that's what they're doing right now. But their completion percentage, 60.11%. That's 28th in the league. And they've just been taken over as really the worst team in the league at 159.5 passing yards per game. So think about that. The lowest passing yardage in the entire league per game, while having the 8th highest rate for passing the ball. Doesn't add up, doesn't mesh. I don't know what they're doing. I really don't. Pick-wise is too as well. This is a game that we could easily have some interception opportunities as well, because Zach Wilson's throwing picks at 2.73% of his pass plays. That's 21st in the league overall. So where they're at right now at their passing game, Zach Wilson's at 1,097 yards. As I mentioned, 60.4% as far as completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, been sacked 19 times this year. So, yeah, Kayvon, time me another sack, buddy, because when you're 6 games in and you got 19 sacks, that means you're getting sacked about once a quarter almost there. So, just shy of that. So, his opportunity there for this defensive line. Sexy Dexy got going again last week against the Commanders, but that's against the worst, the worst team protecting your quarterback in the entire league. So, can he do the same now? against a team that's still having struggles on offensive line, but isn't quite as bad as the Commanders are. As far as our running backs in the passing game there, Breece Hall's got 13 catches, 113 yards. Dalvin Cook's got 9 catches, 46 yards. So you can figure that it's going to be 2 or 3 passes to the running backs during the game there, not too much. The big heavy hitter on offense for them really is Garrett Wilson. So 32 catches, 369 yards, 2 touchdowns with his Robin there. He's the Batman. Allen Lazard, former Packer there, 20 catches, 227 yards on the season there. Now, the big thing is they don't throw at anybody else but those two at the wide receiver position, guys. Their next one, Randall Cobb, 3 catches, 20 yards. That's what kind of steep drop-off you're talking. So, again, you got 2 receivers, you got the running backs, and then you got your main tight end we're talking about here, which is Tyler Conklin, 20 catches, 227 yards in the season. Their backups, Jeremy Ruckert and CJ Uzuma, each have just 4 catches in the season. So, you got 3 guys really to worry about. Wilson, Lazard, Conklin. You can keep those 3 guys covered. You're changing their entire offense. You're making them do things they're not comfortable doing, things they don't want to do. And this is what Wink is very good at. He's very good at forcing mistakes, trying to get you out of your comfort zone. This is going to be a fun game for him, I think, overall, because the Jets' offensive line has been extremely suspect. So he's going to dial up the pressure, which we all know Wink loves to do. That's Wink's favorite thing in the world to do, is just dial up that pressure. Jets are giving up sacks in 9.85% of passing plays. That's 28th in the league. Not as bad as the Giants there, but not far from it. So while they don't rush the ball a lot at a very high rate, they are highly effective at doing it. The Jets are. So they average 5.2 yards per carry. That's 3rd in the league overall. So anytime you're the top 5 at any category, it's pretty damn good. We're talking about averaging per play in your top 5. That means you're very good at that category. So it's very puzzling why they only carry the ball 22.5 times per game, which is 28th in the league. We went over what they do on passing game. Low percentage, lowest yards, one of the highest passing teams in the entire league. So now at running, one of the best at yards per carry, runs the ball, one of the least amount. Like, what? I don't get it. If there's any Jet fans watching that want to chime in the chat here, feel free to let us know, because to me, this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever why you would not run the ball more often. So as far as our running backs go, Breece Hall is the main weapon they got there. 66 carries, 426 yards. That's 6.5 yards per carry average with 2 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook, 39 carries, 109 yards. That's only a 2.8 yard per carry average, guys. Dalvin Cook is looking extremely washed up. I don't know if they just knew how to work with him in Minnesota and the Jets just haven't figured it out, or what the deal is. There's been rumors he might even be traded at the end, before the end of the month hits, which is, Tuesday is the trading deadline here. Yeah, keep an eye on that one, because he has been a huge disappointment for the Jets. Because when you got one guy averaging 6.5 yards and the other guy averaging 2.8, that's a pretty significant difference. So you can't blame the line. You can't blame the run scheme. The only difference in those two is who's running the ball. That's it. Zach Wilson, you do have to actually keep an eye on him a little bit as far as run-wise. He's got 19 carries in the season for 98 yards. It's 5.2 yards per carry there. So you figure a couple times a game, he's going to try to run out of the pocket there with his pressure. So not that it's part of their usual thing for him to do, but if you give him a massive hole, he's going to take it. I'm not just talking about his mom's friend. Give him the massive hole, he's going to go right in. He's going to take it. He's going to dive on through. Michael Carter probably should be their second running back overall. He's only had 6 carries, though, this season, 36 yards. So it's a 6 yard per carry average there. But again, it just shows the 2 back-to-back. Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, those are the 2 main running backs. And when Dalvin Cook's in the game, guys, we're feeling good. When Brees Hall is in the game, we're sweating it a little bit because he's like I said, he's got that yard per carry average. That's 6.5, guys. That's really good. That's really good. All righty. So before we get into the final thoughts here in the game here, because unfortunately Rob's still having a little issues here with traffic wise and all. Let's go ahead and read some of the comments here. Raphael, what's up, man? It says hello, salute everybody from Raphael. And I'm sorry, man, I don't want to mispronounce your last name. Is it Shashin? Great content, appreciate it, man, as always. Anybody hasn't, check out his YouTube channel, by the way. He does a lot of great content as well. Not just football. I know he's also into wrestling. As you can see, he's got the wrestling mask on his YouTube photo there. But like I said, there's a lot of great stuff there with a few different sports there. Deb said, I also heard a couple of sources that said Dable said Hyatt has a long way to go. I was surprised to hear that. You know, if you look at how he's being used, he's been used as a deep threat, and that's just about it. So it doesn't shock me to hear that because I'm not seeing a huge route tree from him. You know, a lot of people are talking about how he's going to be a project coming out of college because he didn't run a traditional route tree. So it doesn't shock me. It doesn't shock me at all. My big thing is he's got the speed to be used still as that deep threat in the meantime. And I'm just glad the Giants are starting to do that more. You know, we threw the ball down to him deep a few times there. Almost got a touchdown one time. You know, got a couple big plays out of it. So, you know, use what you can from him because speed is one of the things you cannot teach. You got it or you don't. He got it. So let him use it against those who don't. Dennis says again, this is going to be the greatest 3-2 win of all time. Stop. We have more points than that. He says the Giants can have more turnovers than points to still win. There'll be some. He also says this seems like a pick 'em game either way. Listen, if you look at the bets going on right now, it's about 50-50 between the Jets and the Giants there, mostly because the Jets have Zach Wilson and people just don't have confidence in him, and because the Giants won last week. It gives them a little more confidence betting on the Giants because they've won. They're getting a little more healthy. Like I said, the rumor we talked about there with Deb was saying she heard that Andrew Thomas is not going to come back, but previously it had been stated he would come back this week. So, you know, we'll see what happens there. But this is a game that if you're a Giant fan, you should be going into with optimism. Because the Jets defense, while very good, again, is better against the pass than the run. We want to be a running team. The Jets offense passes all the time, but they're better as a running team. But they don't play their own strengths. We should be confident going to this game. This is a game we should win, guys. We should win. If we don't win, you know, I talk about this all the time. Like, I'm not ticked off when the Giants lose to a really good team. I'm ticked off when we lose a close game because that means, you know, there's a couple of things here and there we should have probably done better to win. And I'm ticked off when we lose to a bad team. If we lose to the Jets, I know they've had some decent wins against the Bills and the Eagles there. But if we lose to the Jets, yeah, I'm going to be pissed. This is a team we should beat. And this is a team that, you know, obviously for those of you who live in the New York area, you got to hear a lot of crap from the Jets fans here if the Jets win. That's the way it'll be. But go ahead and remind them again about the rings because the Giants got them. The Jets don't got them. See, you got Anthony, Big Blue Ant Seals. Say, what's up? Sure, what's up, man? He says, I think we will win a few games, but it's too late to make a run. Very possible. Very possible it's too late. I agree on the run. I mean, outside the win a few games. You know, what kind of run? It depends, I guess, on your definition of a run, really. But, you know, I think we're going to have some wins coming up. I don't think this is going to be a 2-3 win team. I really don't. I think that we're going to be closer throughout. You know, we talked about before, the schedule gets easier the rest of the way. You know, you look at who else we got here again. Are you saying we can't beat? We're going to beat the Jets probably. I think so. You know, we got the Raiders after that. We don't even know who they're playing at quarterback. beat them easily. Dallas, probably not going to beat them. Let's be honest. Dallas always tends to beat us, but then you got Washington, you got the Patriots, you got the Packers, the Saints. So, yeah, you may be right, Anthony. As it says here, to make the playoffs. It may be too late to make the playoffs. It very well may. And if we do, we'll probably squeak on in like we did last year. But I just want to see some improvement before this year's up is my big thing. I want to see a better playing team. I want to see some cohesion on offense. I want to see the development of these young players, Jalen Hyatt, Deontay Banks, JMS, Kayvon Thibodeau, Micah McFadden's been doing better the last couple weeks. I want to see the progression of his young players. So even if we don't do better than we did last year, we could say, you know what? We improved in some areas. We got some guys going. We got to evaluate some others. This year had a point. This year had a progression to it. I just don't want to look back at the end of 2023 and go, you know what? Last year was a dream. We suck again. There's nothing good about this team. Because that's how we all felt a couple weeks ago. You know, let's be very frank here. We all needed some Giant Prozac. Every single Giant fan was like, oh my God, what the hell? It's just like, feels like so long ago we're doing good. This team sucks. This team's going nowhere. Not even just to ask the question of can we make a playoff run? What a difference a few weeks makes, huh? Get close to beating the Bills, beat the Commanders, and all of a sudden we get a little bit of optimism going. I'm telling you, watch. Watch what happens here. If we beat the Jets as I fully expect, and then beat the Raiders, and then all of a sudden things are looking up a little bit there as we go to 4-5 at that point. Now we're starting to get to that 500 mark. Granted, we'll come down to crash back to life again. We play the Cowboys probably. Go to 4-6. But again, then you got Washington, you got New England. Then they're 6-6. Green Bay, 7-6. Saints, 8-6. You know? Lose to the Eagles, beat the Rams, lose to the Eagles again. Saying you're 9-8 at that point. It's not impossible. It's not impossible to sneak into the playoffs there. And that's crazy to say at 2-5. I know it. But you know what? Like I said, that's got to be our goal the rest of this way. To see the improvement. To see the transition at that point. To see the young guys improving. You know, in many ways, I think, honestly, this may be the year that we look back on and say, you know what? This is the year we figured out Daniel Jones wasn't the guy. And I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he starts again, lights it up, and goes back to the guy he was last year, but has better options to throw to and does amazing. As much as I think he's not the guy, I root for the guy. I want him to succeed. I want him to be that guy. I want him to be the leader of this franchise for years to come. So, but I think that's what this year is probably going to be. The year we figured out Daniel Jones wasn't the guy, and a couple of our young guys go ahead and progress and get better at that point and build a team up a little more. So, all right, let's get into our final thoughts here as far as the game here and a couple of our, our key points here. All righty. So for our final thoughts, first thing, be efficient when running the ball because that's the opportunity against this defense. You know, we can't be having 1-2 yard runs left and right. You know, we'll get you, Saquon, with that. Hit the hole. Don't try to bounce every single one outside. It's a fast defense. It's a good hitting defense. Hit the hole. Get 4 yards, 5 yards to carry. That's what it's going to take. Bouncing it to the outside is going to get you hit with this defense. Next thing is finish drives on offense. In other words, we got to get points. We get the ball, we got to get points. We can't be getting the ball, getting to midfield, getting to the 40-yard line, just stopping. Because that's what teams typically do against the Jets defense. Again, we don't have to score a touchdown every time. We're playing the Jets. They're not a great offense. But we got to have points in the game. We got to get points to the board. We got to go ahead and do something each time we get the ball, make some kind of progress there. whether it's to pin them deep, 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 or to get points, which is obviously the preferred option. Third thing, don't turn over the ball. Again, sounds easy, but it's true. That's a key to this game. Don't give the ball back to the Jets. We talked about how they average over 2 turnovers per game. That's something that at times we've had issues with. We've been better the last couple weeks here, it looks like. Minus a couple fumbles here and there, but one was Saquon's injury. I'm not going to hold him on that. He's a pretty dependable guy overall as far as holding on the ball. But we can't give them extra opportunities because that's what helps this offense for the Jets get some points up there. So we have to go ahead and do it. Next one is don't let Zach Wilson get comfortable. So he's not a good quarterback, obviously. And what do bad quarterbacks do when they're uncomfortable? They make bad decisions. That's what happens. They make bad decisions. You want him to make bad decisions. So, yeah, I really think that's something that we got to get going against an offensive line that struggled. We got to get to the quarterback like we did last week would be great. But even half what we did last week, I'd be happy with as well. And then the next thing is, like I mentioned before, they have a big 3. It's really a big 1 and 2 minor 2s and minor 2 and a minor 3 there. Wilson's obviously the stud on that offense, but you need to cover Wilson, Lazard, and Conklin well. Those are the 3 guys. Make them throw to the players they don't want to throw to. Talk about making Zach Wilson uncomfortable. That's who he's comfortable throwing to, is those 3 guys. Make it where he has to go ahead and deviate from that plan. Make it where he has to shoot to the ball to other people because they're not on the same page together like that. Not like these 3 are with him. You want to make him uncomfortable. That's where he makes mistakes. And mistakes are key to getting turnovers for the Giants, getting great field position at that point. Helps our bad offense, because let's still call it a bad offense. It still is. Helps our bad offense with better field position to get more points to the board. Which brings me to the next one, which is get a turnover or 2. We talked about it already where, Zach Wilson is prone to giving up some interceptions. I wouldn't say he's at a prolific, pace for it, considering how many times he throws the ball. But he's going to give us some opportunities. And if we do what I'm saying as far as making him uncomfortable with the pass rush, taking away the options he wants to throw the ball to, that's what's going to happen. He's going to give us some turnovers. Let's get those turnovers. Let's take advantage. Last one. And this has nothing to do with this specific game. This is like a goal for the season at this point. No more injuries, guys. We've had enough this year. Let's leave this game with no more injuries. I want people coming back. I don't want to be losing more people. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick of this. It's like every single time we watch this team, I feel like we have another guy going down. And how many years has this been the case with the Giants just injured? And we were hoping this year be different. New turf. We know the crappy turf that we had all the last couple of years here. That's just been known for ACL injuries and all. But instead, we have our left tackle, our center, our right tackle, all out on the offensive line. We had our star running back out for much of the offensive line. We have one of our 2 big edge rushers out forever. We've got our best corner out for a while. Injuries are still popping up left and right. And then, of course, starting quarterback now potentially out for the 3rd week in a row. I mean, got to get healthy. Got to stay healthy. Got to get everything rolling. All right, let's get back to the rest of the comments here before we head on out here. I guess, and Rob's still in traffic there, unfortunately. So, Dennis says, I think the blowout losses are over. I'm hoping, man. I am hoping because I'm tired of being pissed off at these crappy losses that we've been having. Deb says, I'd be happy if we got back to where we were at the end of last season. What the hell happened? Honestly, I think a good amount of it is the injuries. I really do. And I think it's injuries and the schedule we started off with. I'm still hopeful that by the time this year's over, we go, okay, that was just a really crappy time to go through a crappy time. That makes sense. You know, we got a whole bunch of guys injuries in key positions, playing the worst stretch we're going to have all season long. So at least, at the very least, you can sit there and look at it this way. We lost the players in games we may not have won if we were fully healthy anyway. And hopefully now we get fully healthy and get everything rolling when we face the teams that we should beat. Trying to be a little bit of positivity for you guys. And then Deb says you're going to make a big announcement tonight. Merchandising. We have to actually postpone the announcement one more week here, unfortunately. But yes, there is an announcement coming up very soon. It does involve merchandise as part of it. But there's much more to it coming than just that as well. So hopefully, like I said, we'll have that ready to go for you guys next week there. Just trying to get one or two things finalized for that big thing there. So keep an eye out there for the goofballs, because that'll be coming out. I think that'll make the experience a little nice for you guys and continue the community feel as well that we're having here with the chats and everything. So I do love that part of the show here. All right. So like I said, guys, we're going to be back on, of course, for you guys after the game live. Like I said, the second the game is clocked down to 0, we're going to be going on live for you guys, giving you guys our thoughts and everything on the game here. Hopefully we're doing another win. That'd be nice. Back-to-back wins, a winning streak, be our first winning streak of the season here. So again, we'll be back on that. Always, we're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile. And of course, we're always on the next day as well through all the audio podcast platforms. So if you prefer to go ahead and, listen to audio on your ride into work, your ride home from work, the boss is being a jerk, and you're trying to think of something else to do at that point than just stew about work, then go ahead and, check us out on audio. We're on pretty much every audio podcast platform known to man. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and a whole bunch of others. If you guys are watching the video, obviously, you'll see this whole list we got going up here for you guys. So, again, guys, we'll be back again for you guys after the game. Appreciate you guys listening in. As always, we know you guys have plenty of options where to go your, Giants and NFL news from there. We appreciate you chose these goofballs, at least just this goofball tonight, to be the ones you get that from. So, as always, Giant fans, before I even do that, pay the bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. Buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
How did I almost forget to play that before we get going? John's going to listen later on. I'm like, oh, thank God he did this. We know John loves that part of it. All right, guys. Again, appreciate y'all listening in. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the talk here. I know it's not the same without Rob. Y'all miss Rob. I miss Rob. He'll be back on again for you guys post-game with the Giants-Jets here. So we'll see you guys then live as soon as the game is over. As always, Giant fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?
Thank you to those who have signed up for our silver gold levels of membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.